One. Okay. All right, and we are live. All right. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. Um. So we have a pretty eventful day today, but I thought we'd start it out by doing a interview. Sort of segues into what we're gonna do later. But oh, okay. So he's out.
No, I'm
Um.
sorry. I was trying
All
to
right. Cool.
switch it to iPods.
Oh, good.
AirPods.
All good. So hey
Sorry.
man, so everyone watching at home, as always, if you're new to the channel, please, like, comment, subscribe, or at least like and subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can be notified anytime, I'm doing one of these things. All right, cool. Here we go. So everyone, anyone who's been watching lately, you probably recognize my guest to my right. His name is Raymond, and we've actually been he's been on the channel a few times already, but we haven't done one of these yet. So that's why we're here. So I'm doing a solo one-on-one interview with Raymond, and well, as customary, I always like to let my guests introduce themselves. So Raymond, why don't you take a little bit of time to talk about yourself?
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Raymond. I'm from New York City. I am 53 years old, and I've been AMBW for a very long time. So I think I've been in AMBW since 2003, I think it is. I've seen group change, organization change, different groups I have joined, which is basically on the meetup.com group or so, because they do events, they do meetups, they meet members. They do activities like eating at a restaurant or see a movie or do adventures or basically travel too. But most recently, it was like 2 weeks ago, we went to a bar called Solace. It was our first year meeting up for after the pandemic. And basically, like I said last time in the interview with Therese, was because we were just meeting up for the year and about good 40 members came out. A good size of men and female came out. And it was just basically interacting, conversation, hanging out, and just catching up because you know these people for the last couple of years that come out to the events, and so that's why. For me right now, like recently, this past weekend, I had a birthday party to go to. My friend had a birthday. We went to a place called 99 Favors. It's all you can eat hot pot and barbecue. And if it's your birthday or so, right, and it happens to be the day of your birthday, the day before, the day after, it's a free meal. So if you decide to go there to have dinner and stuff like that, you just gotta let them know that it's my birthday. So basically, you don't have to pay. You get comped or so, but everybody else that's eating with you has to pay or so. So it's a pretty good bargain place to go and to enjoy yourself for your birthday. And they have this big Chinese monkey or so that comes out in a monkey suit, and basically they're celebrating your birthday by singing happy birthday to you in Korean, Chinese, or whatever language it is, but it's happy birthday type of thing. So yeah, this weekend I'm a little exhausted. There's a lot going on activity wise for me, and today's my only day that I have off to do this. So yeah, that's what I'm here for so far. Okay.
Okay.
Um,
Cool.
Sorry.
Thank you. And so, what got you into the whole AMVW thing? Just sort of rewinding it, like what really? Because when I think of most Asian guys, whether you're Asian American or you're moving here from another country, like what what I mean. I feel like most Asian guys are kind of more traditional. They're more conservative. They mostly stick to their own basically. Either that, or I feel like the alternative for a lot of Asian guys is white girls. So, what got you into black girls?
Well, for me, being American born or so, I was born in New York City in Chinatown. But when I was growing up or so, my parents moved me upstate. So when I moved upstate to Orange County, New York or so, most of my friends were either black, Hispanics, and whites. I didn't have any Asian friends. And if I had Asian friends or so, most of the time it's basically if their parents owned another restaurant, a laundromat, or another store or so, I'd be going to school with those kids. But there was no Asian students or kids around me, so I couldn't really mingle with another race and stuff other than, what was in front of me. So going upstate New York is basically mainly white, black, and Hispanic, and those are the only friends I had growing up or so, all the way to college. It's only when I reached college is when I started meeting other Asians or so, because you're like, oh my God, there's another Asian face on campus. Like, let me see if I can talk to them. And so, and I realized I have trouble talking to Asian people, so and everything, which is odd. So we thinking that, we're the same race, same thing. For some reason, it's kind of like standoffish. So, like, if they don't want to get to know you, they don't want to talk to you. So it's like that or so. So for me, it was just easier talking to the black people, the white people, and the Latin people. So basically, my best friends were basically black and Latinos or so. A few white friends or so, but not really into that type of life or so, because as growing up or so, you grew up on rice. Latin people understand what rice is, so black people understand what rice is too and stuff like that, because that's what just normal staple type of food that you normally eat and stuff and everything. So you kind of understand the culture more. White people don't really eat rice, and so they eat like pizza. They'll eat other stuff other than rice and stuff like that. So they don't understand what we go into, and so the struggle and everything. That's why. The other reason why I started to date or basically talk to black people is through back in the days, it was just a language group that I was in. And if I want to learn another language, most of the people that's sitting across from you are either going to be black, white, Hispanic, or so, and everything. Not many Asians in the language class want to learn another language or so, like I did or so. I want to learn French or Spanish because, that's the most language that you hear the most spoken when you do job applications and stuff like that and everything. So most of the people that were sitting across from me that learning a language was normally black and Hispanics and so. So it's easier talking to them and doing intercultural talking and stuff like that, because you're learning from one another at the same time. They're teaching you words, you're teaching them words or so. So it was a nice way to basically interact with them. And I think for me, the way how I started meeting black people was basically it was in the kung fu group, the language group, and the anime group. Those three groups basically is you see the same people every time at every event because they signed up for it. They're gonna be there, so and everything. Eventually, those three groups eventually turned into AMBW because someone felt like, hey, always see the same people, same face. Might as well have an AMBW event. So that's how the group started or so on Meetup. And the person that started it was, I don't remember her name, but the second person that started, whose name was Stasha Johnson. She made an AMBW group. It didn't last that long or so because if the admin is not there to do or host events or so, most likely not many people come out or so. And the people that normally came out were people from the anime group because you get black and Asians mixed together on the same concept or so. They like anime, they're gonna get together for that event to sit there and talk. Eventually, the person you're talking to is the person that you eventually gonna fall in love with, most likely. So that's how it was for me for AMEW. It's basically I saw them at every event that I went to. Either it was an anime group, it was either a kung fu group because I realized black people like kung fu for some reason. They seem to know more knowledge about kung fu actors than I do. Sometimes I feel like, oh my God, I'm not Asian at all, you know. So that's how it was for me for AMBW.
Oh, cool, awesome. And let's see here. I'm trying to say. So okay, so sort of just coming back to the present. So obviously, you just for everyone out there, heads up, we're doing another like quote unquote blind date. Well, it's not really blind date anymore because they've been on a couple dates already, but it's a date number three basically, which is yet another historic milestone for this channel because it's the only time so far that this has happened. Where a pairing or quote unquote coupling has gone on more than one date in this channel. So that's coming right up after this. But so about that basically. So I haven't had a chance to ask Tressa this question, but because I've only interviewed her once. But what is your how do you feel about that so far? You know what I mean? Like I said, this will be the third time you guys are going on a quote unquote date. All that stuff. Like, how are things going so far? How do you feel like things are progressing so far?
So far, it's progressing pretty good. We're learning a lot more about each other. We're talking in depth or so. We're learning a lot about her daughter, and I'm finding a lot of information about that too because in my family we do have a autistic member in our family, so I have an understanding of what she's going through, and the things that I explained to her that my nephew's going through. Chelsea's Chase is doing the same thing too. She's doing the same exact thing, but now we have a better understanding, so that she understands what I understand, so And that's a good thing and stuff because it's good to talk about everything because you really need to know what's going on in each people's lives. So we're just progressing right now and stuff and everything. I think I recently sent her a care package, I think it was, just to make sure she's okay and she's doing all right or so pretty much, because I'm assuming that, Colorado doesn't have a lot of Asian H marts there. So not like New York City or so where they popped up everywhere or there's a J Mart or there's a Chinatown. They don't have things like that in Colorado. After I did the research in Colorado, there was once a Chinatown in Denver, but no longer existing no more. So they have a plaque there. So I'm thinking of making a trip out there to visit Colorado, because Miami is close by because I want to do the Red Rock Trails because I'm a biker. So I do a lot of activities too. So it's a good way for me to go out there and visit and see if we click or not that way too. It's always good to meet them in person to get an idea if it's gonna happen or not. Or so, it's a good way to meet people. So that's my take on it.
Hmm. Well, that's good. And so, so basically, even though I know that this channel is still relatively new, I know, I mean, I don't know every single AMW channel out there, but I'm assuming that I'm probably one of the only ones, if not the only one, that actually sets people up on blind dates and stuff like that. And my take is this. I'm doing this because I'm not doing it for people to make friends. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to create meetup groups. That's why I'm trying to set people up on dates. And I feel like for me, it's important for me personally. I always like to, distinguish, what I'm looking for whenever I'm, dating or, you know what I mean? Like looking for, a relationship, whatever. I always like to let the woman know, hey, you know what I mean? I'm looking for a serious relationship only, not looking for friends. Don't waste my time, all that
Right.
stuff. And so that's sort of the principle that I'm applying to. And by the way, that approach for the most part works. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Occasionally you have your bad one who doesn't really care about that, but for the most part, it helps to filter out the bad ones, helps to attract the ones who are actually looking for something serious. So that's better. But I like to apply it to this as well. And so when I say that I'm not trying to start a meetup group for friends, I literally mean that. I'm trying to actually set people up on dates. I know that it's over Zoom. I know all this stuff, but considering that we're in COVID-19 times right now and long distance, that's kind of the best thing I can do at this moment. But I feel like you know what I mean. Like so in that regard, are you? And it's okay to be completely frank about this stuff. I'm not sure if she's watching this or not. But if you are, I guess Tressa. I'll see you soon. But also in that regard, are you interested, right, in this person? Are you interested in trust and getting to know her that way, or are you basically kind of saying, I'm more comfortable, like being quote unquote friends? I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I feel like it's an important and interesting question to address. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on it is that if we're talking this long on a third date, most likely I am interested. I was planning, I was planning to come out for Easter, but she already has plans with family or so. So that's not gonna happen for next month or so. But I most likely probably am going out in June, I think, to see her and to meet Chelsea too. And just to get an idea of this long distance thing will probably work out. And if it does, I know one of us is moving, and most likely it's probably going to be me moving out there. So, because New York City, city life is city life. So, after a while, you get tired. You want to find something slow pace. You want to find somewhere that's going to be beautiful. You wake up or something, be like, okay, there's no smog here. There's just fresh air. So, Colorado is a option to move West Coast or so. The reason why I say that because I have family on the West Coast too, and I believe I have family in Colorado too. I just haven't reached out to them yet. That's why to let them know, like, hey, I'm in town. If you want to see me, cool. If you don't, then I'm gonna just go hang out with Tressa instead, or so like that. You know what I mean? So there's no big thing and stuff like that for me of where I'm gonna go. Eventually, I'm gonna move somewhere. You know, if I had to be close to that person I want to be with, most likely yes. Unless she wants to move back East Coast, it's all up to her. But I think it's just a better environment there for Chase, basically.
Yeah.
Because
um
I was looking into the schools and everything out there, and it's just it's just easier for Chase to basically educate, learn out there than it is in New York City. New York City, there's a lot of red tape. There's a lot of schools, but then they're trying to deal with the COVID thing. It's probably safer in Colorado, COVID wise, than it is here in New York City. You know, there's too many people clustering. That's all.
Okay. And so so we can, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, so that's cool. No, my thoughts exactly. I feel like it's if someone is going out, you know what I mean, like one date, you can usually tell, okay, if you make it past the first date, that means that there might be a little bit interest. Could go either way still. You make it
Right.
a second date, sort of same thing. You make it past the second date, that's when things get a little bit, more optimistic, right, for your future.
Yeah.
Because one date is very casual. A lot of people go on one date and that's it. They
Hmm.
usually ghost you, or they let you know, hey, I'm not interested, or anything like that. So,
Right.
or, but, it could, in some cases, it can go pretty well. And you can go second date, and then third date is usually an indicator that things are going well so far. Um, so that being said, what has your communication been like with Tressa? Like, because I know you guys have talked on this channel, but have you guys talked offline as well, or
Yes, we've been talking offline a lot. We've been talking like through Zoom. We'll Zoom either in the morning, night, or afternoon, but normally it's toward the evening. So when she's pretty much has put Chase to bed or so and everything, and we'll talk for an hour or two. Occasionally throughout the day when I'm at work or so, we're texting back and forth or so because I'm at work, so I can't really do Zoom at work. So we're talking throughout the whole day. So we've been talking since the first day that we met, and we exchange numbers, we exchange addresses, so at least we're on the same page or so like that. The only way we'll know that we click or so is when we actually meet in person and see how things go. So because that's something where you're gonna be able to know, like, oh, okay, she is real. Says who she is. She says everything that kind of falls into place or so. You'll know when you see them the first time or so. On Facebook and stuff like that, or Zoom, it's hard to tell because you're just being polite and everything at the time. You're not showing your true colors until you meet them in person, you know. And that's how your body will know if it's correct or so. Um, like I said, when the first time I saw her, I was shocked by her looks and everything. Like 51 looks like that. That is phenomenal. So that's beauty right there. So I met a lot of people online at this age where my age is, and they look nothing like Tressa. So, and like, wow, I'm lucky or so to get one so youthful looking. But then it's just normal, it's just in your genes or so. Who would have thought that I was 53 years old and people look at me like you're 35? It's like, I wish I was 35 or so, but I'm not. So far, I'm lucky that I still have youth in me, you know.
uh, and so okay, so that's cool. Um, So, that being said, one sort of obstacle, not obstacle, but one thing that I've talked to, about, before with, like guys is, how do you, or, even my friends have asked, hey, like, what do you think about me dating a single mom, or, a single, a woman with kids, anything like that? Like, what is your take on that? Because I'm assuming, right, you have no children, right? So you
I
are,
have no children, so I'm not married or so. I have dated people that had kids before. It just didn't work out. If they're too young or so, they probably don't work out or so because the focus is on the baby or so, which, your child's first. That's always number one or so and everything. If your child's a bit older or so, it's a good chance that eventually when they go to college or go away or move out of the house, then you have a chance to basically start a relationship with that person. For me, my first rule in the beginning was no, I don't want to date anybody with kids. That was my first rule. But then I kept on meeting people with kids, so I'm like, this doesn't make any sense and stuff. But then I had to just basically just throw in the towel and see what happens because the chances that you do meet someone and you might like the kid or so. There's a few people that I have met, and I do enjoy spending time with the kids because it gives me a chance to connect with them to understand, like, okay, this is what it's like to have a kid or so, knowing that I don't have any. But knowing that in the past or so, I had like nieces and nephews and I always like babysit them. So basically I knew that I was good with kids. and kids have tendency to like me a lot or so because I just let them do what they want to do. I don't say no to them like how the parents would normally say no to them. So most likely, kids around me should be okay and stuff like that. I might know how to do CPR if something happens or so, which I am certified for CPR. It's just that if you fall in the pool, that's it. I can't save you, so I can't swim. I would try my best to get in the pool and try to save you, but just like now, so if you have a pool, I probably don't want to date you. I'm just saying. So, but for me, right now, dating with people with kids is probably okay now because I've gotten used to basically being around people with kids to a point where, I didn't realize that, they do look at you like a father figure or they look up to you as a role model. So if you're a good person, eventually you're going to connect with their kids and then everything's going to fall into place like that. The kids will know whether or not you're good or bad or so. They have that vibe. And then the kids are going to test you regardless to see if you're going to stick around. That's all. And, I had people that had kids that try to get rid of me before, like, damn, your kid is good. You know, there's a movie about that too. I forgot what it was called or so, but it was interesting that, if the kids want to get rid of you, that they don't want you to date the mom, they'll find a way to get rid of you somehow,
Mm.
because they just feel that you're not right for the mom and stuff and everything, They just know. So I think with people with kids, it's okay for now for me right now because I'm getting older. I don't think I'm gonna have kids, but if someone has kids, it'll probably be okay, you know,
Mm.
like that.
Um, and just one last thing, because I wrap it up, because we're actually getting pretty close to the next event. But just one last question. So the one thing that probably the most popular question I get from viewers is how where do I meet where do I meet other people, where do I meet if it's a black woman, they want to know where do I meet Asian guys, right? Or anything like that. So you yourself host a lot of AMW events, so why don't you sort of take this time to plug that for a little bit?
Well, I don't host AMBW events. I go to AMBW events. Someone else is hosting it. I basically, click yes, RSVP that I'm going. So, but sometimes if I have black friends that are looking for Asian friends or Asian boyfriends, I would forward them the information to let them know, hey, I'm going to this event. Chances that you might meet a guy or you might not meet a guy, but it's a good way to connect with other people. They might have a friend for you or like that or so. And I would just forward that information to them. But for people that live like in rural areas or so, I tell them go to church. The chances that there's an Asian guy at church. If not church, go to a social event, a language group. The reason why I say language group because Asians are always looking to learn English. Now, if you're an American black woman and you speak English and the Asian guy is trying to learn English, that's a good way to meet the Asian guy, understand? Because he's trying to learn a language. At the same time, you're connecting with them. So any language groups that you see that are out there, join it. Chances is that you're gonna find 2 or 3 Asian guys in there that trying to learn a language, make a friend, or more than that or so. Okay. The other events I see is outdoor events like restaurants, social events, or movie events because, we're always trying to do something with other people. We don't like to eat alone and everything. So if you join a social group that's basically active, chances that you might find that 1 or 2 Asian guys in there that in the group trying to make friends, trying to find love, or basically connect or so. So, I'm not trying to promote meetup.com, but those are the places that I would basically want to meet a black woman or so. If I like kung fu movies and stuff like that, I join the kung fu group and everything because chances there are Asian people in there that like martial arts or they like the actor and stuff and everything. That's a good way to connect with, the other person or so. So ladies out there, if you're looking for an Asian guy, you don't know where to look for them, first try church or so. I know church is not the best place to go and everything, but find like a multicultural church, you know, something that's has mixture of people in the church. So chances that there might be a Asian guy in there. He might not be pure Asian. He might be a mixed Asian and stuff like that. And when I say mixed Asian, we're talking about Filipino, Hmong people, people that are Indians descent and stuff and everything. Because chances are they're in there for God, but at the same time they're hoping that God will let them meet someone else too. That's why I always keep on pushing people to go to church. Not that I'm a religious person, but it's a good way to meet people. That's all I'm saying. So. But I think the language group is probably the easiest to meet people because it's everybody's trying to learn a language. and everybody's going to join. So you're going to get a different race of Asians in there want to learn French. They want to learn another language other than what they know. And if they're teaching the language, it's even better. So if they're teaching Korean, the chances if you want to learn Korean, he's going to be there so to teach you. So you're going to be interacting with that person. Eventually, you might catch a feel. He might catch a feel. Next thing you know, you guys are in love. So basically, don't give up hope that you can't find an Asian man. We're out there, which is hard to find sometimes because we're not always going to be the same place you expect to be. Like Denver, Colorado, there is no Asians. There are Asians out there, okay? But they're not going to stick out or so for you to find them or so. But you're going to have to find them basically going to a language class, going to a social event like movie nights or restaurant night or so. Because restaurant night, you bring everybody together. All different races come together, have one meal, and a good way to have conversation and chat with other people. Okay, so that's pretty much a good way to how to meet people. For me, I didn't have any problem because I live in a major city. If you live in a suburbs or so, chances you won't find them or so. But if you live in a major city like New York City, Chicago, California, San Francisco, that's where the Asian people are. Okay, they're gonna be in Chinatown. Okay, they're gonna be in some type of Korean town, Chinatown, Japantown. Wherever they're gonna be, they're gonna be in that location. So try to look for festivals that are geared toward Asians, like Ramen Festival in New York City. All the Japanese and Asians come out for ramen. We love ramen, that's the only thing. But there'll be other people that are gonna be there to try the food. So the chances that you're gonna bump into a Asian man at a Japan festival, chances is yes, so and everything. So, people, do look out for Asian events that's happening around your state or so. Cherry Blossom's coming up next month. I'm going to DC for that or so. So if you're in DC, Maryland, Virginia, and what's the other state I'm thinking of? Pennsylvania, New Jersey. That's a good way to meet other Asian people at that event or so. And yeah, that's pretty much best way to meet Asian men. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much for that information. All right, cool. Well, like I said, we have this will close out the interview, but Raven, I'll see you in a few minutes anyway. So,
Okay.
for everyone watching, like I said, thank you for if you've gotten this far. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time I do something like this, and stick around because we'll be right back in a bit. So, but yeah, so thank you to my guests, thank you everyone watching, and see you guys next time.